Welcome into another exciting episode of The Scene. I'm your host, Bubba Starts, and with me today is singer-songwriter, band leader, and Midwest Country Music Organization member, Samuel John. Welcome to the show, Sam.
Hey, man. Hey, Bubba. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. We've communicated a little bit back and forth. We're having you out here for some shows, which we're going to get to here in a bit. But why don't you tell our listeners a little bit of who is Samuel John?
Yeah. Samuel John. I currently live kind of just north of St. Paul, Minnesota, but I'm originally from a small town about 60 miles north of the Twin Cities here called Bram, Minnesota. And been trying out this whole musician thing. Bit of a COVID project for me. I was one of the people that took the let's find a hobby at home during the lockdown to heart. I've always been kind of a musician, but that's kind of when I started taking it seriously, and I'm I don't know what to say.
So, relatively new to the game. Would you say that?
Yes. Yeah. And I've done different music stuff, I guess, off and on throughout my entire life. But to the whole singing and playing guitar and writing music, relatively new. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, that was just 4 short years ago that the whole world changed, right?
Right.
What a great hobby to pick up, Sam, and having listened to some of your music, which will be featured on a future episode of the show. I'm glad you did. I'm a big fan, and actually your song kind of moved me to tears because it was my own story. Where you say you've kind of always been around music, where did music really start for you?
Well, both my grandma and my mom were piano teachers growing up, and my mom is actually an amazing pianist and vocalist. And growing up, she used to sing. She'd do weddings and funerals and different events, and she'd play piano for theater productions in Minneapolis and stuff. And so she's kind of my inspiration growing up, and so I was always just involved, in school and like band and choir, played trumpet and singing in choir, did some theater, and so it's always kind of been there. And my brothers are musical too. Actually, my little brother, he's 22. He's on the road right now with the Zach Randall band. I think they're in Indianapolis tonight. But he's a bit of a gigging musician himself, probably a lot more so than me, actually.
A bit? Jeez, one of the best gigging bands out there, man. Road Warriors, too, I know.
Oh, you know the Zach Randall band?
Oh, yeah.
Sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, they're killing it. But, yeah, and then my brother's doesn't do so much music nowadays, but he has the ability, I guess one could say.
Right. Right. So you say little brother's 22. Sam, how old are you?
I am turning 29 in a few weeks. So
I'm turning 38 in a few weeks. When's your birthday?
Cinco de Mayo.
Mine's on the 6th.
Oh, look at that. That's my mom's birthday is May 6th.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
my aunt's is on the 4th, and I have very good friends born on the 6th as well. Sam, that is awesome.
Oh,
that is awesome. So mom was a musician, not just a musician, but a very accomplished musician at that, and also professional. Right. Yeah. She wasn't just doing it to a high level, but she was doing it for a living. So you have a template a little.
Well, my mom had a lot of jobs.
Right.
And that was one of them.
So that's exactly. But you saw that that's the life of a living musician, because that's what we are. We don't do music for a living. We're a living musician.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean.
Wow. Sorry, that was deep. I'm just letting that set in. I didn't mean to go there, but that's, I mean, people are like, well, how many shows? I was on another podcast, Sam. I was on the Mind Dog channel on YouTube. Great podcast. Our friend One Will See out here that we're going to be doing some comedy shows with. He's on there. The guy's based out of the New York City area, and he's a musician himself in the scene and everything. And we got to talking about, what is a performance? Because on my bio on my website, it says that I've played thousands of shows. And he's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm doing the math on this, and how do you work this? I mean, there's only weekends to play, and da-da-da-da. And I was like, well, I mean, it really starts at what do you call a show? Because I
Yeah.
busked to live on the West Coast for 3 years. So I'm not even, are you counting every time that I got paid something to play music? Is that a gig? Because that's been in the thousands. I mean, you start to add up every day or 2/3 of the days of the year, yeah, you get 600 gigs under your belt real quick, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what they were. And where everyone might not think of it that way, to me, every open mic, every performance that you go give is experience. You get the XP from that, right?
Oh, for sure.
You know what I
Yeah.
like? So to hold it to, well, you didn't get paid for this or that. And it's like, well, are you going to count Dave Matthews playing at, for charity? Because he didn't get paid, now it's not a gig?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if
Yeah.
the
No,
payment,
I
right?
consider them all shows.
Exactly. So every campfire
Yeah.
jam and all of that, to me, that's what it is. A performance is a performance. It doesn't matter. So I guess it's all in the semantics, right?
Yeah.
Lovely.
I completely agree with you. Yeah.
Awesome. So what did you do before COVID for a living? You were obviously a young man at that time, just starting to find your way through life. What were you doing to make ends meet?
Yeah. So I actually I still have a day job. So I'm not a musician full time. But I went to college up at the University of Minnesota Duluth to study software. So I do software for a living. Um, yeah, it's kind of
Are you able to
it's
work
actually
from home?
yes and no, both. A little bit of hybrid. So COVID kind of forced me into the work from home situation, which actually gave me time to, I guess, be a musician. So
So
um,
a little bit of a blessing, right?
definitely, yeah.
I mean, not on the
Um,
whole. We're obviously
well,
not supporting any of
of
that, but
course,
the time, right? The availability of
yeah,
time, and it really happened for a lot of people. It's really wild when you look at how many people trace the roots of being set on the right path for their life back to that moment. In 2020, we moved out to Tyndall, right? That was the best year I've ever had. So I know that while there was, despair and a lot of things, a lot of the people that I talked to, that was kind of a moment that shifted their life for the better. And it was because they all of a sudden had time to kind of go inside of themselves. And thankfully for you, as me, we got to keep our jobs, right? Still had an income and the time. And that's
yeah,
really the key.
yeah, yeah. I was very yeah, very lucky to be in I guess a good career spot for when that happened. So yeah, not everyone was in the same position. And my wife never stopped going to work. She works in medical labs. So
Right.
she's
Yeah.
still during the lockdown, she's still going to work every day.
Right.
And
So, and then she's
yeah,
gone a lot and probably working overtime. So all of a sudden, Sam is kind of at home more with more time, and hence a love affair with a guitar happens. Is that kind of what goes on here?
yeah, yeah. And then yeah, actually if we're gonna get into it, it kind of sucked for a bit because I was working from home during the day, but she was sleeping during the day because she was working nights.
Right.
So I'd get off work and she'd wake up and go to work. And so we kind of had opposite schedules there.
So
And
she's
so
gone, and now you're
I was
just awake at home alone.
right. Well then, then the music started happening, and then it started to kind of like it makes if she'd be at work and I'd go to a gig, and then we'd find our time together. But um, oh, what am I getting at? Our schedules it worked and it sucked, but it also worked. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So when that happens, you had already been playing guitar, I'm assuming, or having picked one up.
I took some like lessons in high school from a local guitarist in Santa County area. His name's Kenny Corona. Um, but I was a pretty bad student in the sense of I just was a degenerate high schooler who didn't practice between my lessons, what have you. But I knew some basic chords during COVID, and when I picked my guitar back up again, and that's kind of just where I started, was I knew the basic chords. And honestly, one of the the biggest hurdle for me was I haven't thought about this in a while, but when I first picked up the guitar again, I really struggled to sing and play guitar at the same time. That was a big hurdle for me to overcome. Um, but once I overcame that, I kind of just started figuring it out. So
Well, then let's talk about how you overcame it. If you haven't talked about it for a while, let's revisit that because I think that's a struggle for a lot of people. So I mean, once you get past the finger dexterity, right, to even be able to play a guitar and having the calluses to play a guitar for any amount of time, right?
yeah,
Then being able to not just do that one thing and then to do it without being, staring at your hands to make sure they're doing the right thing, and then being able to now sing and remember words and do all of that at the same time.
yeah.
Is there any tricks you use
Gosh,
to close the gap?
yeah. I feel like it was just you had to be really good at one or the other. Like you had to know the song really well on guitar while you practice the singing, or you had to know the singing really well, so you had to focus on the guitar. I'm not really sure. I think it was just repetition, to be honest.
Right. Right. Well, and
So
I think it helps, and that's why it always helps for people to I mean everybody I hope everyone writes their song in their life, but to have music that you love already, to already be a fan of music and then to go and be able to learn those songs is so important because you already know them by heart, right? You're not going and
yeah,
trying to learn some song out of a book that you've never heard before.
hmm,
And that's why I don't think,
yeah,
because I never had a lesson. I've never, everything that I've learned about music and guitar is really just been absorbed. Yes, I've read tabs and things, but I've mostly learned music from learning songs and just learning every song that I've ever loved to sing. As much as I could, right? If I could learn those, and then it kind of came monetized. I don't do it as much anymore. Now with the show, Love
hmm,
Noise, which you're going to be featured on, I'm starting to want to learn my friends' songs. That's kind of been the new challenge to me. It's like, oh, what are they doing there? Oh, I like that, right? Instead of learning Skinner
yeah,
tunes and Pink Floyd and Grateful Dead, and that's what I grew up on, right? And so I learned all those classics, and all of those classic songs shaped my style for what modern gypsy rock is what I call
yeah,
our style now. That's what encapsulated that, which from what I've heard from you is exactly what your style is. It's country, it's rock, it's Midwestern, right? It's tough, but it's got passion. And I don't know that music gets better than that. I mean, that's what always made rock music cool. And I think you're bringing something back, Sam. Your song moved me. I'm not, I sent you a picture with tears streaming down my face. Those aren't fake tears, buddy. You were telling my story. So thank you. Thank you for the song. You guys are going to get to check it out. That set me free. It'll be on our next episode of Love Noise. And Sam, we're both a member of an organization. I'm a fairly new member. I'm assuming you are as well, but I know you've done some events with them already.
yeah.
We're members of the Midwest Country Music Organization. I plug them to all of my other fellow musicians out there that listen to the show, and really anyone can join and be a member. The benefits for you for
Yeah,
a nominal $50 a year, right, are just incredible. Can
yeah,
you talk a little bit about your relationship with the organization and kind of some of the benefits that you've seen from being a member?
yeah. Um, and I think everyone, I was a little skeptical at first with like the Midwest CMO, and I think it's always good to be skeptical about something that costs money to be part of. But I got a couple friends say you should check this out, and I joined. I don't regret it. A lot of good opportunities come from it. I met a lot of great people. Um, it's I joined a little over a year ago, and then I've just done some casual networking with some of the different members, which kind of led to yeah. Lately, we've been um, I've had this residency at this dive bar called the Beedale Club in Roseville, Minnesota,
My
for
favorites.
over a year, now. And one of the founding members of Midwest CMO was like, "Hey, I see you've had this residency here for a while. Do you want to bring some other Midwest CMO artists in?" And I'm like, "That sounds like a great idea. Let's spice it up and get some new music to the locals here." And and then I get to play with some new, both new and old friends. And so actually, I guess that's one of the Midwest CMO events I've done lately. Is a couple of songwriter rounds there down at the Beat Out Club.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. So a little bit of synergy going on here. We are getting ready to unveil on May 9th our first songwriter night, which is going to feature myself hosting with a featured songwriter. On May 9th, it'll be Alyssa Kaiser, who's also been featured on the show. But I'm going to
Cool.
interview her live in front of the audience there, right? I got my little, I got the recorder to do so. Do the interview like we're doing live, and then have her play some songs and be able to talk with her. And I'll probably have a guitar on stage just in case I want to play something or play along and to have it. But yeah, so we're building out the same things here, and that's where my affiliate. As soon as I saw what the organization was doing and some of your performances and other friends of yours, I think at this bar was where my introduction was. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is beautiful, because you just need space. It doesn't have to be the biggest or the best. We just need somewhere
Oh
to
yeah,
congregate, right? We
for
need
sure.
people that believe in us and believe in what we're doing. And I know that PT Paul Thomas and the whole gang at MCMO are doing so much for so many artists. We had Brad Morgan on, who's nominated for Male Vocalist of the Year this weekend. We had him on the show this week. And I'm really looking forward to going to the show in Okoboji, April 27th. I'm pretty sure it's probably sold out now. There was only 34 tickets left last week.
Yeah,
I got
that's
mine
pretty
right
awesome.
away. I just knew it was a space where I could go and meet everybody all at once. And it was really
Yeah.
important to me. And now I feel bad because I probably kept you from going because you're playing at one of our spaces, Dr. Lucky's, April 27th, here in Mitchell, South Dakota. You're playing for our Gentleman's Writer Round for with two of my really good friends, both friends of the show. They both have interviews on here as well. Listeners can go and check those out. Devon Sants, Chris Graves. How excited are you to come to South Dakota and play for the first time, Sam?
I'm pumped, and honestly, I've been talking with my band off and on for the last year. We had our first show about a year ago, but South Dakota's always been on our radar, and then we just, I don't know, never figured it out. I guess I don't. It's just we kept on finding opportunity in this area, and but I've always wanted to get out there, and I even got a friend in Sioux Falls. I'm picking up on the way to bring along, and it'll be a good time. And I'm grateful that Alec and introduced me to you, got that worked out. So
Yeah, and so what's your relationship with Alec? We're new friends. We've spoken on the phone a few times. We've never met in person, and we will eventually in May when you guys will also be coming down to Dr. Lucky's to hang out. I sense a theme here, right, Sam? Uh,
yeah, yeah.
what is your relationship with Alec and Coffee Break Entertainment? Are you longtime friends, or is this a relatively new relationship for you two?
uh, let's see. So Alec and we had mutual friends, and I think we originally met through mutual friends. He used to, I believe, manage a tap room at a brewery that my buddy brewed at, who was also a musician. Which the more you learn about the Minneapolis St. Paul Twin Cities music scene, the more you realize that everybody just kind of knows everybody, whether even it's 1 or 2 degree separation. It's
It's
like
all very well connected.
it's all very well connected. So definitely met through mutual friends, and let's see. I mean, what was the first show we did with him? I think so. We recently played the 7th Street entry with Alex. He plays guitar in a band called Russ Parrish and the Lone Oaks, and he invited us, the Samuel John Band, to play at 7th Street entry with him. That's for anyone not from the Twin Cities area, that's First Avenue 7th Street entry. So it's kind of a famous, legendary stage. It's a side stage at the main First Avenue venue. Um, I think that was our first show together. And Alec really hooked us up, getting us on a bill, and we had an absolute blast. And ended up selling that 7th Street entry out, which was really cool. It was also with the Devon Worley band, so it was a 3-band lined up. And I think we started working with him more seriously after that, and he started booking a few shows here and there for us, and I'd also just see him around town at like different shows and different open mics. And, like I said, the music community here is pretty cool that, kind of everybody, like I said, everybody knows everybody. And
Right.
so,
Well, and to speak
uh,
to that, so Alec, like I said, new friend to us, but the only reason he's on my radar is because he's working very closely with our friend Clayton Ryan. Clayton was on my
yes, yep,
album. I'm a huge fan of his for obvious reasons. He's amazing.
yeah.
They working together, and just a few weeks ago sold out the Bryant Lake Bowl Theater.
Yeah, I was there.
You
Yeah,
were
I was
there.
one of the
How
sold
was the
out
show,
tickets.
man? You're the first person that I've gotten to talk to. Let's get a little review segment in here.
Oh, that was awesome. The dude's performer, killer voice, killer songwriting, and his stage. That's the first time I got to see his like full, like, what should I call it?
He ain't phoning it in.
What was that?
I said he ain't phoning it in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd seen him one other time before, and it was we actually did a solo acoustic show together. Well, it was at a small venue in St. Paul, and it was like 3 solo musicians. But this is the first time I got to see him, with his band, put on his show, and it was outstanding. I mean, him solo was amazing too, but yeah, it was a great show.
Yeah. So yeah, inside baseball. He landed when he landed in the Black Hills is when I first started to know him. So Brandon Jones band out there is a pretty big deal. They're one of the biggest bands out in the Rapid City area. And I'm pretty sure that's what he was doing when I first saw him. And it wasn't long after that him and my good buddy Tom Freer, who I've known for 15 or 20 years, who has a recording studio out there and everything. They kind of branched off on their own. They had the Cottonwood Boys. So they were touring kind of as a 2-man show, doing some really Americana, just cool, man. They got some good stuff. If you guys get on Spotify and search the Cottonwood Boys, that's Tom Freer with Clayton Ryan, and is freaking gold. I'm telling you. So I already know that this dude's a powerhouse. I'm a fan on the outside. We've messaged online and whatever. It comes down to last October at the Wild West Songwriters Fest, which I'm going to plug them real quick for our listeners and our other musicians, and for you as well, Sam. Last year, they did a regional songwriter contest and opened it up to songwriters from all over the place. The winner, actually, Tristan Schofield, is playing with my band May 3rd at Dr. Lucky's. And we were so great to get him. But my good friend Jesse Allen puts that on. It's a great thing. It's free to enter, right? So I didn't get in the contest because the caliber of songwriters is so high. To take the top 20, right? I'm looking at the list and going, I can't even be mad because I love every single one of these people, right? They're all friends, and the ones that I didn't know I looked up and I became an instant fan of as well. So a great weekend. And even if you don't get in there, they have local songwriters rounds. And that's what I got on. And they sat me down with Devon, Sants, and Clayton Ryan at the Saloon number 10. It doesn't get more legendary than that for a South Dakota boy from Deadwood. Really, really blessed to sit in with these guys and to share the stage with the man. Like you said, is just incredible. You don't know, if you don't know what to expect and walking in to see it, you're going to be blown away. Like I knew what to expect and was blown away. So
yeah, I love your passion for live, going and witnessing live music and listening to other musicians and chasing other musicians. I think that's a really good trait as a musician. I mean, I love going to shows, and also if you're a musician, and it's a lot of learning too, learning and networking, and learning how other musicians hold themselves on stage and stuff. I always preach that to kind of newer musicians. I'm like, go see the shows, go see more shows, go watch more music, go network and go learn. But also just because it's awesome, and it's live music is awesome.
yeah. Well, and most of what I've learned, like stage presence wise, is going and watching my friends play and watching their shows and being like, oh, I really like that. And the bands like Judd Hoos and Brandon Jones band and Corey and the Fireflies, you can loop into that too. These are the big South Dakota bands. These are the bands that we get to see the most often because nationals don't always make it through here. The big names only make it through here every so often, and you very rarely get the chance to see that. And that's that's where a place like the cities is so different. You have an abundance of live music all the time, and that's what makes a place like that better, because you have all of these musicians going to see each other and improving their stuff, you know, and you just have this constant feedback loop of everyone getting better and better. And then you have, you know, ones that shoot out of that mix, right? You know, and I say crack through the noise and get out there into the national spotlight. And I think that's going to be Clayton, right? And if we can all ride his coattails a little bit, and maybe we don't make it all the way out to the stratosphere with him, we get above the clouds, you know, and that first layer, and kind of get to a level to where we can sell out theaters of that size. I would be happy selling out 100 to 200 seat theaters the rest of my life and playing these awesome little clubs. And like, I'd be cool with that. If that pays the bills for me to come out with my band and have a great time, you know, I don't have to be a billionaire playing music, man. If we can make a little bit of a living, we're just fine. And that's why your song just struck me, man. The chorus of your Set Me Free just hit me right in the heart, where I'm like, you're damn right, Sam. We sure don't. And we're doing it all right here. We're doing it right now. It's what the podcast is. It's what our songwriters nights are. Man, we had a blast at our open mic night in Mitchell. Tuesday nights we have open mic at Dr. Lucky's. We're putting anybody up on the big stage under the bright lights and letting them be a rock star, man. What do we care? The system's there. Let's plug in. Let's have fun. Let's get together. Let's support each other and let this thing grow. And it's all about you getting out and sharing this with your people, and then it growing from there and letting our energy be amplified. Thank God for the internet. You know, thank goodness that we have these tools to communicate, collaborate. I haven't worked with a single person in studio. I guess my latest single I actually got to do with Tom in the studio, but my 2 singles out right now I've done completely remote. You know, somebody's doing them elsewhere, sending me the music. I record the vocals, done deal, right? So I don't have a career. We're not talking right now and putting this out into the world without the internet. And yeah, we got to keep that free, man. We got to hang on to that and hang on to these communities like MCMO, like the scene. You know, it's not just a podcast, it's a community. We're doing the open mics, the songwriter nights it's all together, man. And you're a big part of that. You're coming out to South Dakota for the first time this Saturday. I'm so sad that I'm not going to be here to shake your hand in person. I'm going to be out meeting some other friends of yours, and that's how we're spreading this thing. You know, we're cross-pollinating all over the place, and I couldn't be happier to share the experience with you and everybody out there too.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Right. Thanks, Sam.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Well, Sam, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your time. I can't wait for all of my friends here in South Dakota to hear you this Saturday at Dr. Lucky's with Devon Sants and Chris Graves. At Dr. Lucky's, we got the Gentleman Writers Round. Show starts at 7:00. Get in, grab a seat. It's $10 at the door. These boys are going to put on a great show. And we thank you guys so much for supporting the live events and supporting the podcast as well. So once again, thank you for making yourself part of the scene. Thank you for listening. Remember to go to patreon.com/thescenesd. Follow us on all your social media channels and make yourself part of the scene.